I don't know what we're going to go into exactly here, but just right there is gold that I don't want to lose to the
Mm,
digital ethers. So
yeah, yeah.
yeah, it's been great. I mean, we had guys, just speaking to the necessity briefly, is there are guys that are suicidal that were there, and that, really challenged, and yeah, and we made a
What
big impact.
what did you feel was the most important to hold space for during that weekend? Not what you planned, not what you learned, but what did it emerge that you felt was the most important to hold space for?
Honesty
Mm,
and creating a space where we showed up as the facilitators in our authenticity, in our honesty, in our vulnerability, in our speaking to shame and fear and our own insecurities, and making that the context of what we were creating, and creating that container where everyone else felt unjudged to go into that themselves and allow those emotions and feelings and thoughts to come to the surface. And then
mm,
and once in allowing that to come up, then their own alchemy can take place. And we had cool words and cool exercises and things like that to lead them through, but it's them and God ultimately, and we can create a ceremony, we can create an experience, we can create a moment, we can facilitate plant medicine, and then it's allowing them to do the work inside themselves.
mhm,
Hmm.
mhm.
Yeah, that's what I would say to that.
What surprised you about what showed up
um
and the people?
so the first thought that comes to mind is what showed up within myself is actions that I've wanted to take, and words that I've wanted to say, and an identity that I've wanted to embody, but haven't done that really yet. And certainly in that with that number of people and that scale and intensity of an environment. So that was the first thing that surprised me, was just what I was capable of, and speaking into like the identity of humility that I find value in, but I also find it's also crippling in certain ways. And I think in the past, without desiring to change it because it's perfect and it's da da da, but not allowing an overly humble sense of self to be there, where so much pulling away from the moment so much that it's allowing other people to dominate it or to be passive, and rather than to really step into the arena and say, this is me, here I am, like, this is how I feel, this is what I want, this is what I want to change, this is what I want to stay, and here we go. Let's deal with it. Let's
Mhm,
let's let's whatever. Let's just be honest.
mhm,
And then in the people was just how awesome they all are, really,
mm,
and how creative and strong and funny and like caring and bought into each other and bought into the moment and wanting to laugh and celebrate and dance and sing and just be alive, and like just seeing just seeing their joy. Yeah, a lot of that.
mhm.
Yeah, a lot of that. Yeah,
And you mentioned you had a couple men that were suicidal as they went there?
yeah, at least one. Yeah.
How how was his process through this whole experience of seeing people step in and lean in and open up and all this stuff? Because when someone is suicidal, they're robbed of the dream of a better life. It's
Mm.
almost like they've reached that place of, suicidal ideation because there's no other way. Like, there's nothing for me to try. So,
Yeah.
how do you experience that guy being in the you have to try this and this and this and this and this? Like,
Yeah.
how do you face that?
I tried to forget anything I kind of knew and just treat him like everybody else and not like
Mhm.
coddle or anything like that. but there were a few moments where like we're talking about our importance in the world, and how critical a role each of us plays, and in amplifying how much better the world is with us, and how what horror would come into it if we weren't here. And I was definitely thinking about him, while I'm saying this stuff, and and that was the main part, because he was relatively quiet during, sharing exercises and whatnot. So there wasn't really a lot of space holding for like, hey, this is where I'm at. Like, I want to put a gun in my mouth. He never went there. And at the end of it, I mean, his what he had to say was nuts. I mean, it was mind blowing, really, like how like positive
Mm,
he was, and how he felt, and and kind of like you said, it's like helping people see a more compelling future, and see that like what there's two main things we wanted to like amplify. Was one, each of our individual ability to create, to do, to act, to just our own personal power, and then was increased faith that the divine is going to be there to assist us, that the right person is going to show up, the right thing is going to happen, and as we step closer and closer to God, to source, to whatever, it's going to step back towards us. And that if we bring those two worlds together, then we can do whatever we want. There's unlimited capacity there if we maintain that masculine like ferociousness, and like ever solution orienting. Like, no matter what the jungle presents, we're gonna hack through it. We're gonna do whatever it takes. And
mhm.
when all that came together, then it landed in a very, very strong place. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Are you gonna go back to the same place when you guys go back, or
No, it'll be
that
too
was a
hot.
challenging one? Yeah.
Yeah, it was hard enough in March. June it'll be oppressive. So there's a couple other cool centers that are here, in Homestead, and Davie has some cool like palapa style places where
Mm.
there's also like a house where you get into the AC at night, so guys can actually rest and not just get beat up all night by bugs, because it was rough. Even in the tents, the no-see-ums got in, and like some guys
I
had
know.
a
I had a feeling. I mean, when we were talking at first, I'm like, I'm a woman. I can't handle that. I don't want to handle that. That was more of my idea.
Yeah, no, you were absolutely right. And there was the on Saturday or Friday night, because Saturday we were up intentionally. Friday night, I was just abused. I was in my tent. I was just getting just torn up, and I couldn't sleep. So I got up. I went swimming at night. Then I went and slept by the fire, and that actually helped, because they're scared of the fire. So that I got a little bit of sleep out there. But yeah, it was very challenging. But the guys, all
Mm,
they all liked it at the end of it, but they were challenged. For
yeah.
sure.
Oh man.
Yeah.
But you got through it, and I'm sure everybody was impacted in a positive way. I mean, when people ask me what are some of your favorite experiences in life, period, I always resort to talk about a hike that I did in Bali,
Yeah.
Mount Agung,
Yeah.
where I don't know if I shared with you, but it was a 11-hour hike.
Yeah.
Um,
Where the picture, you're on the top of the mountain.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And I thought I was just
Got it.
gonna have like a 4-hour hike, and it was gonna be easy, but it was one of the most challenging things in the world for me. Like,
Yeah.
I remember coming down and my legs would not have any holding. Like, I was falling and falling and falling for 5 hours on the way down.
Wow.
And the
Wow.
guide did not care. He's like, he would look at me. He's like, okay, let's go. Let's go. And this guy was like in his 70s, maybe. Like, he's like a little ant, you know.
Yeah.
And this is when I was in one of the best shapes of my life. Like, this is
Yeah.
when I was ripped and,
Yeah.
working out 3 to 5 hours a day. But that was the hardest and yet one of my most memorable experiences. And I think the boys that went into your retreat might say the same, given the things that they had to go through. I mean, look at the people that go to Burning Man too. Like, they're in the spaces of sandstorms and heat and dry air and all this stuff. And for them, it's like one of the best experiences of their lives. So
Yeah.
there's something to being in community through a challenge together. It's like life is challenging. Life has a lot of unexpected turns. So
Mm.
to put that into an experience and find how resourced you are and how much support you actually can get through those moments, it's like I don't know. I think it activates a part of us that goes like, this is what life is supposed to be. It's not
Yeah.
supposed to be easy. It's supposed to be with challenges and support. And I have the tools, and there's plenty of things that I can go to for help. So,
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Yeah.
mhm.
Recontextualizing suffering into being like, no, this is good. This is great.
Yeah.
Like,
And it's like a working out of the muscle of resilience too.
hmm
Like some people do it with cold showers or
hmm
cold plunges, and it's a very predictable experience. And you're like, oh, I'm building resilience through predictability. And my eyes, I'm like, yeah, good luck. When shit hits the fan and it's unpredictable, like,
yeah.
I get what you're doing. Like everybody does it because it builds resilience in the nervous system. But I'm like, try to do it with going into the unknown again and again and again. Like go to places that you don't know what you're gonna get.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you offer, what you and Jeff and Diego offered that weekend.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Totally. Man, I mean that's what the masculine's supposed to do. We're supposed to it's supposed to confront conflict. It's supposed to go into chaos. It's supposed to bring it into order, make something good out of it.
mm,
I think that's what it is. It is that force. It is that consciousness that's the problem solving, the relentless, like no matter what, it's gonna keep going. It's eternal. It's just that's what it is to me. I
hmm
mean, that's what I'm coming to understand more and more of it to be. Mhm.
what do you think, or what do you hope these circles can bring men through and to?
Clarity into who they are, into how they can be in the world. Hope that they can create a life that they want to live. Um, Serenity in the midst of chaos. If they can bring those things together, then we've done something important. If we can
Mm,
get guys to feel that, experience that, believe that, to know that like in their bones, then what they be able to do from there is, I mean, it's almost limitless. That's like the kingdom of heaven stuff that we can do. And it's not some like airy fairy, let's eat, bonbons, under the palm frond fans forever. To me, that's not really heaven. I mean, that's a nice moment, but that's going to get boring after a while. You can only eat so many grapes. You can only have so many orgasms. You can only have so much pleasure, and that's great. Like I don't want to deny that aspect of life, but I also want to make sure that we celebrate the suffering too, and not just celebrate the celebration.
mm,
Yeah,
hmm
yeah,
I know that I've been asking the question so far, but it's like I'm so fascinated, and I'm wondering, like you asked me, is there a pattern that you see in the men that are coming to these circles or that went to the retreat that they all sort of carry within?
yeah, yeah. I love your question, man. I love our conversations in general, so I'm happy to answer them. Um, is there a distinct pattern? There's a lot of guys that have similarities to myself in growing up without a lot of strong masculine tradition or presence,
Mm,
and in finding more comfort, finding more peace around more women early in their lives, and even in their near present, but also having like a deep longing for this masculine warrior kingly identity, presence, feeling of yeah, fuck yeah, raw, and that raw feeling, but also being aware enough and aware enough of the feminine and compassion and higher states of being that they can bring that into this like heart center place where there's a different GPS, there's a different guidance system that can guide that spear more effectively. So we're not just lost in another ego game or ego trap or spiritual narcissism or da 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 da, cocaine and Ferrari dreams and blah 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 blah, and just some other other kind of chaos. But to tap into their own power, tap into a higher wisdom, and tap into the Creator. That was all deeply desired, and the desire to be around other guys. Guys really celebrating each other and celebrating ourselves. Like, man, this is great. Like I love women. I want to be around women. Like I want to enjoy their beauty and humor and fun and all the amazing things that feminine is and does. But like just be like, damn, this is great. Like I don't need anything else. Like I don't need to go have a woman validate me. I don't need to feel like impressive because there's a beautiful woman next to me. I don't need any of that. Like I'm great right here. And
Mm,
and yeah, and like if we show up in the world with the like I'm great as I am like now, take it or leave it, like whatever energy, like you're cool, like you want to come along for the ride, yeah, let's go. But I'm good. Like I'm not here to be like pandering and like please do you love me? You're awesome. Please like me. That's like I mean that's I think that disgusts women in general, and or at least
mm.
kind of revolting in some kind of way. Um, whatever the right word is. It's not. I don't think women really desire that kind of energy from guys. Right? No.
I
Yeah.
don't think women want a parent, nor men want to parent women. I think that parenting dynamic and relating, it's really something that we're all learning to grow out of. And
Mm,
it's almost like the masculine has been waiting for, and in some ways in the culture, for women to accept how masculine they are or the
mm,
style of masculine they are. And it's like, that is, in my perspective, a dynamic of, mommy, is it okay for me to be the boy that I'm here to be or the boy that I
wow.
want to be?
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of healing that it's needing to happen there, because even though women are asking men to be more conscious, like it gets twisted into men asking for permission. And it's not that. It's like, no, be who you are and do so mindfully, but don't wait for the women to allow you, to become who you're here to be. And it's so like, I'm speaking and I'm hearing what I'm saying, and it's like, well, there's consent and all these things, and it's like, yeah, but in order for a woman to consent, she has to feel what she's consenting to. So the man has to show up as he is, so she knows what she's giving permission to. If he's like waiting and waiting, then that's where things get weird and tricky, because the woman is like, I don't know if I can trust you or consent to you or open to you, because you don't even know where you are. So what am I even trying to open to, surrender to, consent to here if you are not showing up as you?
Mm,
So yeah, when the man shows up as a man, and that's a whole thing. When the man's still a boy waiting for the permission, that I think that's where the suffering of the masculine is. It's like you're still acting like a boy when you forget that you're a man.
mm.
Uh,
Yeah, that mommy may I, you nailed it with that. That's a massive that has been in the past a massive drama for me. I can just see how that like echoes forward in
mm,
in romantic relationships of the past. Totally.
mhm,
Hmm.
yeah. No,
Yeah.
and I work with women that are entrepreneurs. I'm doing a lot of couples counseling with women who are powerful entrepreneurs, have powerful men, but they're still showing up as, hey, babe, I want to go to this. Is that okay? And they're like, don't ask me if it's okay. Tell me you're going. Tell me you're going to be home at a certain time, not because you need my permission. Like the woman's screaming this. I
Yeah.
don't need you to ask me if it's okay for you to do what you want to do. Do it, but
Huh.
communicate. I'm asking for communication, not permission. I don't want to
Ah.
mommy you.
Yeah. Oh man.
So, and the
Yeah.
guy is just like confused, because it's like women, or the narrative of the feminine has been like, I get the yearning for the man, but it's confused as the masculine needing to ask for permission. And it's like, oh,
Yeah.
don't be emasculated
Yeah.
by the request of a feminine. Like, rise up, as the man that you are and show up as the man as you are, and then wait to see how she reacts to it,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. There was a lot of getting beyond like the, but how do I say this? A lot of getting beyond interacting as like mental beings. So give me a second to like stumble through this.
Yeah.
So so more us identifying as an expression of the masculine and allowing her to exist as an expression of the feminine and just seeing how that reacts. And so it really falls in line with what you're saying, where it's not like, okay, what is she going to think about this? How do I need to formulate this? How do I need to like interact with her as like an aware like person? And rather just say, okay, masculine is supposed to do this, the feminine is going to react however it does, and let's just proceed from there. You know, does that make sense? Like,
Keep telling me what you're feeling, because I'm feeling into it. I'm not sure that I get it
yeah, it's a little
from stuff.
confusing. Yeah,
Yeah.
so okay, so for me, and kind of like what you're saying here is, the feminine needs to feel like our full presence. It needs to see
Hmm.
what the masculine really is. Like, what are you deciding to be? Like, what are you right now? And like, show me,
Hmm.
and then I'll feel how I feel about that, and then if I'm a woman, then I'll have an expression from that feeling, right?
Hmm.
And the feminine or the women who are identified with their feminine are going to be guided by that intuitional physical feeling. I
Hmm.
feel, and the men, rather than showing up from this like analytical place of like, how is she going to react, what's she going to say to me, what's she going to do as like a person, it's more from a place of what is the feminine going to feel? What is she going to feel from her feminine intuitional place in reaction to my honest masculine expression? And for
Hmm.
me, that's a much different paradigm. That's honesty. That's not
Hmm.
me trying to like honestly, it's like manipulate in a way. It's like it's on that spectrum. People
Let me
pleasing, whatever.
manipulate my personality into you liking me.
Yeah, yeah, and fuck
Hmm.
that. I mean, I think it's so easy to get stuck there, and like fear of abandonment and da 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 da. Like it's easy to get in that paradigm, and it's toxic as hell. Like it leads to all kinds of dysfunction. And then like you're saying, like this woman is like expressing like deep anger and like frustration and pain of like, no, just be you, damn it, like, and just show me who the
Yeah.
fuck you are, and then let me go from there. Don't manipulate me, or don't show me some like, don't put on some mask and expect me to trust you.
Hmm.
Yeah. Does
Yeah.
that?
Don't expect me to feel safe with someone who's consistently doubting himself in front of me. That's what she's saying.
Yeah.
Behind the words, it's like, you expect me to love you when you don't even know who you want to be.
Yeah.
Like, who am I supposed to love? The one that's pretending, or the one that you are? Because I don't know who you are, because you keep questioning,
Yeah.
asking me for permission. So the feminine is like, I am here to receive you as you are, but you have to trust you to be who you are in order for me to receive you.
Yeah.
um, I think the opportunity of growth from a spiritual perspective, it's like, can the man access and re-enter the core innate, feeling of who they are, and trust it in such a way that the only way that they can show up is as themselves. Like, there's no like, am I being too much? Am I not being enough? Should I be more masculine, less masculine? It's like, trust you in such a way that there's no question
Yeah.
of who you're here to be.
Yeah.
And something that's been coming up a lot lately when I work with men, it's like, what is your principle as a man? Like, who is it that you want to arrive at as you in this lifetime?
Hmm.
And I think a lot of men that I've worked with just say, I want to be trusted. Okay, so how are you showing up with yourself, with life, with work, with everything? I am not showing up as someone who's trustworthy. Okay, so what needs to change? I need to express myself. I need to share what I feel. I need to be more honest. I need to, okay. So there's a masculine. It's hiding in a closet of pretend.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean, we're closet heterosexuals, like we're closet like masculine beings,
Yeah.
Yeah. And we've been
And
demonized, like in certain ways, rightfully so, but like we're stuck in this like shame paradigm.
well, and I think a lot of it is because the men don't even know who they want to be.
Yeah. Yeah, that purpose, like the purpose, vision, like life path stuff, we got into a decent amount. We're going to
Hmm.
go really hard on that in the future because, the quote I heard that really resonates for me is like a woman should be welcomed into a man's world. He shouldn't go into her world
Mm.
and expect to be understood and be welcomed because that's not innately the way that most men and women want to operate, or at least the masculine and the feminine. The masculine should be going into the jungle, creating a space, and then welcoming in that feminine energy to expand it, to make it better, to make it a home, to make it a family, to make it a relationship or whatever. But it's up to us to forge that space and create that environment of safety, of trust, of whatever. And like without a vision, you're not going to take responsible action that'll lead to the predictable result that'll allow her to relax in that space.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that in some ways that's what's lacking lately. It's like, what do you want out of this life from yourself? Not from the world, not from the women, from yourself. Who do you want to be?
Hmm.
Uh,
Yeah. Can't
who do you want to be? I don't know. I'm in this space, and it's like, okay. So imagine what that communicates energetically to the women that are coming in, or the opportunities that are coming in.
Yeah.
And a lot of men say, well, I don't know why I feel the way I feel. I'm like, well, because you haven't chosen the way you want to feel. You have to, and then work from
Hmm.
that. It's like setting the GPS and address, it's like, this is where I'm going. And
Yeah.
then formulating your entire life around supporting that intention for yourself, and
Hmm.
allowing, like you said, you set the environment, you set the jungle, everything in the way that you feel it needs to be, and then allow life to bring the elements to support that vision that you have for yourself,
Hmm.
which is where the feminine comes in. It's like the seed, it's planted, and the baby, it's formed, right? It's,
Hmm.
what is your seed? What are you seeding for yourself
Yeah.
as a man?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so cool
So.
how like our consciousness mimics our environment, mimics our biology. I mean, it's like these,
Hmm.
these different layers of the mirrors of the whole thing. That's so
Hmm.
cool. Thank you so much for asking all these questions and having this conversation. Like it's really allows for a lot of integration and a lot of really profound reflections for what where we should take things next here, and
Hmm.
how to whatever the kingdom of heaven even is. But let's get as close as we can to that, and hopefully we'll nail it. Um, yeah, yeah.
So
Anything
what is your seed?
it's 100% this work now. I mean, it's like I'm totally obsessed with this. It's this is gonna be it. I know it. At least a major piece. I'll still do some conscious marketing work and working with some clients and the one-to-one stuff and the music and the whatever. Um, but as far as like where I see myself 100%, it's that. Um, and I had a wild astrological reading last week, and
Uh-huh.
I've had a number of professional readings that I found impactful and insightful, and I could really get into. My rational mind still wants to explain it away, like, oh, it's just whatever. But this guy, his name's Byron Bulgari. He's a friend of Julian Castro's. Did you know him?
No.
Okay.
Mm-mm.
His name matches his personality. He is one of the like highest functioning people that I've ever met, and like just bizarrely intelligent and like just all over the place, but still like refined and present, like keeping it together, but like on the edge of like really breaking through or like being like almost unmanageable. But he holds it together. He's a genius, like the really genius level intelligence. Could have done anything with himself, but he's really wild. In any event, it's been an ego check for me to find this like balance between not being overly humble and like not allowing some of this stuff to like take me for a ride and let my ego kind of step up more than it should and lead into some toxic things. but he's like, he said point blank that there's a lot of things in my chart that he's either never seen in anyone else, or he's only seen like one other time, in the way that I'm really configured for communication, expression, leadership, wellness. Like it was just ultra confirmational to everything that I want to, be stepping into. And it was really, really cool. And he's like, dude, he said, look, man, it's all going to be up to you to take the right actions to actually manifest this stuff and bring it into reality. But just know that you're in the right place, and that if you really step into this, you've got the cosmological support to really be like who you want to be. So very encouraging, and encourage
It's
anyone.
awesome.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do with this footage, if I'll publish some pieces of it or whatever with your con su permiso. But encourage anyone listening to check out Byron and get clear on that vision, and because it's without that, like you're saying, what are we doing? We're just,
Hmm.
how can you expect anyone, a woman, business partner, anyone to be bought in on your mission, or say, yeah, well, I want to step into your movie, if we don't know what the freaking movie's about? Yeah.
Hmm. And I
Yeah.
think it's not the purpose or the responsibility of the masculine, but it is a gift that it has been embedded within the masculine energy. So it is up to the man to allow it to be uncovered from within. It's not something that you get from outside. It's like, can I allow this to emerge through me as an act of trust in myself? Because there is embedded wisdom within my being. Like, I chose at a soul level to come in human form as a man, because this is part of my experience as a man in this world right now.
Yeah.
So men don't help themselves when they're like, well, I'm gonna ask for permission, or I gotta wait. It's like, no, allow, allow. And that's what the feminine invites too. It's like, look how I am allowing. Look how beautiful it looks. Look how it feels. Look how it expresses. And it's that invitation for the men to honor that, which they are,
Hmm.
you know? So
Yeah.
it's so beautiful. I mean, we are so beautiful, you know?
Yeah, you nailed it there with that, like, trust in that identity, and trust in that consciousness, and in knowing that we come from and express something magnificent and brilliant and capable. And
Hmm.
if we can allow ourselves to accept that, and if we can own that and really believe in that, then we've got it, you know. And
Hmm.
may require some patience, may require a lot of work and struggle, and da 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 da. That's pretty much guaranteed to require all of that. But if we step towards the light steps back towards us. That I definitely believe.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And maybe our opportunity, I mean, we do have feminine and masculine within ourselves. Is like, if you are a man embodied human and you are choosing to experience yourself through a male men gender reference in your journey right now, how do you refine the instrument that you're here to play? Like, how do you use that power and that strength that you're here to use in a
Hmm.
conscious, you know, useful, intentional way?
Hmm.
Because this is an instrument that you've been given. So use it. Like, if
Yeah.
you're a bass, you're here to play the bass. If you're a drum, you're here to play the drums. So if you're a man and you're choosing to remain a man and, you know, unfold in your journey as one, then what does that look like for you? How do you play your own instrument? How do you use your voice? How do you use your strength? How do you use your power in a conscious, intentional way? Uh, so I'm grateful. Like, when I see you and Jeff, and the other men that are together, or Sacred Sons, all these groups that are out there, I'm like, it's so needed, because there's a lot of energy in a masculine body and a masculine living, suit. So how do you refine that voice that you are, energetically and physically? Mhm.
Yeah. Suffering.
That's one way. What's
Not
another way?
that. It's not the only way, but a huge amount of it's brotherhood, and being willing to face the dragons within. I
Hmm.
think that we've we blocked so much out, and out of fear of it being a feminine feeling, I have blocked so much out in the past, in the fear of it being weak, or it's blah blah blah, it's gay, it's feminine, it's whatever that internal dialogue is that the ego unleashes in order to keep us thinking that we're safe, or really on this incredibly perilous road to disaster, by not exhuming these feelings, bringing them up to the light to be burned away, or grown from, or discarded as nonsense, or someone else's BS program that got put into our heads, or a manifestation of resistance. The negative force that does come to oppress us, and like seeing how that's not us. Like recognizing the masculine, even our human identity, masculine or feminine. Like we are an aspect of the divine. We come from a good, pure, awesome, amazing, beautiful, creative, just wildly awesome thing with fruit and flowers and mountains and sunrises. Like that's life. That's what created us. But there's this other thing that convinces us that we're something else, that we're weak, that we're incapable, that we're all these terrible things that we say to ourselves, that I've said to myself in the past, and recognizing that there's a separation there. And I think that finding space between those concepts is hugely powerful. And there's a good amount of that on the weekend, and there'll be a lot more of that in the future, in waking that up and in shaking that identity off. Because if we don't do that, then we're not able of truly identifying with our power. We're drowning in a sea of negative self-talk, and a lack of presence of that power.
Hmm. And as you're speaking, I'm thinking of, if men are no longer under the perception or impression that they need to repress themselves, then how does a fully integrated man navigate this life? Like, what does that look like from your perspective? It's a big question.
I love it. Um, it looks like being guided by the desire to do good. And if our heartfelt intention, like really, really honest intention, is to have a positive impact, and then we can feel into where our skills relate to that, without trying to boil the ocean and say I'm going to cure world hunger and that's my intention. Maybe but figure out how you can make an impact. Do you have some farming technique? Do you have some logistical genius to implement to make supply chains work better? That's where it gets a little bit more challenging and practical. But the biggest part, I'd say, is having the positive intention, and accepting. There's a lot of self acceptance, and doing like the interpersonal, self psychology work, so we can have a good relationship with ourselves. And then from there, there's the creator. We got to bring in, a relationship to a divine source. Otherwise, we're just stuck in our own mind, our own ego, without the faith to believe in a miracle beyond ourselves. Which that's a problem.
Mm,
And balancing those two things out, I think, with the purpose, with the mission, and then brotherhood, community. I think there's probably 5 or 6 things to kind of roll together to really make it all work. The accountability, the goal tracking, and we've got our goal achievement platform now, where we're tracking goals and tasks and accountability, and all that, to really make sure that change is tangible, real, consistent. And that's where I get really excited. I'm excited about the whole thing, but that's where I feel like our movement, our organization, is really going to have a huge additional value that most, I mean, nothing else I've heard of does this. I mean, I've taken, some pretty expensive courses. I've never seen anyone do it like we're doing it, where
mm,
you type out, what are your freaking goals? Like the next 90 days, 5 or 10 things, like big stuff, big things. What are you going to do? Okay. Now break them all down into tasks. How many? Let's do 10 to 20 things per thing. And then every week we check the box and you watch your progress go along. Okay. You're 30% achieved, but you're 50% of the time to your goal, you're behind schedule. Like, you're going to have to really press. You're going to have to really start humping to get this thing done, and And more than just the pressure, I think it's this. There's a huge psychological reward in progress. And I mean, you work with high achievers. I mean, are they ever satisfied? I mean, does victory how long does the satisfaction of victory last?
As long as a breath.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You know, it's the progress. It's the
Yeah.
journey towards the goal that is the reward. You know.
Hmm.
Otherwise, oh, gold medal. Okay, when's the next Olympics? All right. You know.
Right, right. No, and something I was just thinking of that I don't know how this is going to land for you, but it just as you're speaking, and tuning into the groups, and you guys are meeting on an ongoing basis. I just had a thought that I don't think it's mine. I'm just presenting it because it came through. But to at the end of your circles, like ask whoever wants to share a dream project that they have, and to have them verbalize it, and have that one person, choose one person in which you can choose to focus support around, and grab a group of 3 or 4 volunteers, whatever number of volunteers are willing and able to help that project come into reality
Yeah,
for 1 month. A 30-day support. It's like one project a month from one of the guys in the group,
I
like
adore
from yeah.
Yeah, that's a huge, huge full body fuck yeah. I went to a workshop once a while back where they did an exercise along those lines of showing people they how do I explain it? They got everyone to talk about their skills and abilities and networks, and then we all like shuffled cards to see like what each other needed. So they needed an accountant, they needed a printer, they needed a whatever, and getting the
Hmm.
guys to share in that regard, that is brilliant. I don't know
Yeah,
where that came from,
because
but that's
even if it's to build a deck or whatever, it's like I have this dream that I've had for 5 years to build a deck in the back of my house, and it's like I just haven't been able to pull it off because I'm helping my wife and my kids, and it's like, okay, so how many people you want to have? 4 people. Okay, who's here?
yeah,
All right, you got support for 30 days, non-paid volunteer work. This is
yeah.
community.
I'm just gonna type this out just to be. I know I won't forget it, but just to be 100% sure, I'm sending this right now.
Doesn't that sound awesome though?
Yes. Remind me to talk about the what should we call like the networking like help like assistance.
I'm gonna have you come up with your own name. I can't.
Cool. Just something I can remember to describe it by. Um,
Give back project. I mean, within your circle, I don't know.
got it. That is awesome.
Hmm. Yeah, because we've become so transactional. It's like, how much? Okay, bro, let me pay you. No, let me do this. It's like brotherhood. No, I'm here to serve you. Like we are servers. We like to give. We're hunters. We
Yeah.
like to be on purpose. We like to execute and deliver and accomplish. Okay, let's help you. There's no dream that is too far. Like what is an attainable dream that we can, realize within a 30-day period? And who would like to volunteer and have the be your mission, of your 10% offering. Like a lot of people do it with money. It's like do it with your gifts. Like what are you willing to help another with?
Yeah. Yeah, that's so cool. That's great. That's a huge step up for everything we're doing because that really gets the community. That gets everything
I
good.
just think that things will grow because guys are like, oh my God, every time I go to these circles, there's one person that gets to choose their project, and there's so much support. I wonder when it's going to be my turn. It's like, not that
Yeah.
you're manipulating, but it's an invitation to really participate fully, to engage fully. It's
Yeah.
like we all get to win here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love you, Jolenny. I'm so glad we had to have this conversation. Um, Julian will be here in a minute, so I've got to jump off in a couple minutes.
Go ahead, my love.
I don't know
I'm gonna
whatever other
be
agenda there could be, or whatever's next, or whatever else that I may help you with, or whatever. But yeah, what else is going
no,
on?
no, thank you. I'm going to be taking a little break. As far as like I need to really gather what it is I need to do. I need to clear my vision and
Mhm.
access it. So why don't
Yeah,
we touch base via text and then see when we schedule instead of putting something on the calendar right now?
cool.
Um, and we'll go from there. But I'm so proud of you. I love
Thank you.
you, and
Big
keep it.
digital hug, you badass. I love you.
I love you too, and keep rocking, huh? You're
Will
doing
do.
amazing.
Thank you so
We'll
much.
talk soon. Love
Awesome.
you, my love.
Love you too.
Mwah.
Bye.